and welcome to another edition of King Crush Thursday, the series where we highlight and uplift Black men, because frankly, not too many people are doing it. My name is Val Gay, and I'm super excited to bring this brother to you today. I've known him for quite some time, and he is, let's see if I can get this right, a Radiologic technologist full-time. He's also the pastor at my church, Bible Baptist Church, and he's a volunteer in the community. He's a native Philadelphian, and he's an all-around great guy. So please welcome Mr. Brian, or Pastor Brian Marshall. Hi, Pastor Brian. How are you, sir?
How you doing this evening?
I'm doing well, thank you. It's great to talk to you. And thank you so much. And Brian, you know about this series and what we're trying to do here, which is creating a repository of 6 questions on our way to 100 answers from 100 different positive and successful Black men. With the ultimate goal of perhaps there's a young king who may or may not have a positive Black male role model in his life, that he could come to this repository, see the same 6 questions, and find his guidance in these 100 different answers. There's got to be somebody that he can resonate with and find guidance there. And then for the rest of us who are neither male or perhaps even Black, for us to also be able to get an insight into this often overlooked community or myopically shown community, particularly in popular media. And so I'm so glad that you're here to participate in this narrative. And I want to get started with the first question, which is, what does manhood mean to you?
Manhood for me means responsibility. And when I think about that responsibility, I think about responsibility in 3 areas. Personally, I think of it as responsibility in one's calling, one's creator, and one's community. So when I say calling, I'm more so referring to that, not so much a job, but a specific type of work that you just can't imagine yourself not being a part of. It's one of those things where even if, let's pretend if you had unlimited amount of resources, you didn't have to worry about housing, didn't have to pay any bills, had no debt, whatever. Like you're pretty much like at the top of your financial game, and you pretty much don't need to work a 9 to 5. Your calling would be that one thing that you would still participate in. So I feel like as a man, we definitely have a responsibility to that, whatever that particular work is. And I like to say, I like to use the term work, because the term job can kind of limit you in a lot of ways, because it can mean to have a job also means to have an employer. So if your particular work doesn't involve an employer, it may not necessarily involve that. But I definitely feel like we should have a responsibility to whatever that particular work is, and also responsibility to your creator. I know that obviously there are going to be different views on that. Me personally, I'm a Christian. So for me, my creator is Jesus Christ. At least that's what I believe. And I believe that there's a responsibility to get to know who that creator is, whether that means studying the sacred text that you believe in, adhering to whatever sort of principles that you believe in that's attached to your creator as to how you can glorify that creator, and just, gathering with like-minded people around those principles. And calling, a responsibility to your calling, to your creator, and to also your community. Because you have to be, I feel like the people that you live around should be able to look at you and say, hey, this is a person who contributes positively to the surrounding area, right? Whether that be through volunteering, whether that be through when it snows outside, you're helping the person that can't shovel themselves out. You're help shoveling someone else out, saving parking spaces for people that have issues walking down the street. That type of stuff. In the grand scheme of things, manhood means responsibility in my book.
That's awesome. Excellent. Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
So, Pastor, who and or what is important to you?
Oh man, who or what is important to me? So for me, what's important to me is definitely connection with my creator, 100%. once again, just kind of going back to that whole finding what work you're supposed to be doing and stuff like that. Like I have this, just this belief, this burning desire inside of me to get to know who the creator is, because I believe everything is wrapped up in who the creator is and who the creator created me to be. So for me, that connection is extremely important to me. I always have to feel as though I'm walking a path that the creator laid out for me. So definitely connection with the creator. Also, what's important to me is acquiring assets. I don't come from money. So it's one of those things where, and maybe I shouldn't really use the term money, because acquiring assets doesn't necessarily mean acquiring money. But it's important to me because I believe if I acquire a good amount of assets, which doesn't necessarily mean that I'm like super rich or whatever, but pretty much like I have enough to have financial freedom, then if I'm ever in a season of life when I feel like I have to switch gears, when I have to leave the 9 to 5, or I have to change my skill set, I feel like if you acquire assets, it just makes that process, that transition, that much easier. And I always like to tell people that your dream can quickly become a nightmare if you're in financial ruin. So one of the things I'm very big on is acquiring assets. And so connection with God, acquiring assets, and also just gathering new experiences. One of the things that I also believe about the creator, I believe that the creator created us to be explorers in a sense. I'm not saying that you need to go deep into the jungle and, find some super secret cave or something like that. That may be the case for you. But for me, it's just more so me asking the question, well, what new experiences can I gain? What can I be a part of that I haven't been a part of that seems fun, that seems interesting, that seems insightful? That can be something like, for instance, back in October, I went skydiving for the first time. Definitely recommend it. I'm only doing it one time now, but I definitely recommend it if that's your thing. You're saying, no, that's not your thing. But it was a new experience. So I'm like, okay, cool. Another experience that I have underneath my belt. Axe throwing, super fun. Traveling, I know, is a big thing nowadays. Thankfully, because COVID numbers are kind of dying down. So hopefully that becomes a lot easier for people to do. But for me, 100% in terms of what's important, connection with my creator, acquiring assets, and gathering new experiences.
Awesome. Excellent. Yeah, skydiving.
It's not for everybody. And I will say this. It was interesting because I'm trying to remember where we jumped from. I think it was 10,000 feet. Right. Actually, I think it was 12,000 because I paid like an extra, I don't know, like $25 for you to take me up like an extra 3,000. And it was interesting because, my heart is like beating out of my chest as I'm pretty sure you can assume, right? As we're just going up, we're just going up. And then, you have to dangle your feet outside of the plane before you jump. And I'm connected to somebody, by the way, so that people know that that's what's going on. Like there's a professional skydiver attached to me. So I'm not just randomly jumping out of airplanes. And then when we jump out, it's like, wow, okay. Like I just jumped out of a privileged airplane. Why did I sign up for this? And I'm falling, right? But it's like, because you stay in the air for so long, at a certain point, you're like, you start looking around, you start looking up, looking down, looking to the right, looking to the left, because you literally spend like 3 or 4 minutes just falling. And that part was a bit much, but the part that I loved is when the guy hit the parachute, or when you open the parachute, you just start sailing. And that's the part that I actually loved about it, because you get a nice scenic view of everything. The whole falling, 1,000 feet per second is over, or 10, whatever the statistic is. You're not free falling anymore. You're just kind of just drifting. And that was the part for me that was like the unforgettable experience of the whole thing.
Wow. Well, more power to you, my brother. I'm so not on my list ever.
Understood. It's not for everybody.
But I'm so glad. I am really glad that you enjoyed it. And this brings me to question 3, which is how do you want us to see you?
That's a very good question. I would like to be perceived as somebody that's authentic. I never wanted to be the type of person where somebody feels like they're getting a different version of Brian depending upon the environment that they're in. So with that being said, being authentic, meaning like definitely being a person that's patient, a person that's kind, a person that's humble, if you will. It doesn't mean that I don't have things that I can brag about, but it's just, definitely just want to like always just have like a very healthy perspective about yourself. Like I'm confident in the things that I do, right? But I never want to be cocky. I never want to be boastful. I never want to be like, oh, I'm clearly better than you at whatever it is that we're doing, So I definitely want to be a person that's, like I said, that's the same at work, that's the same at church, that's the same when I come home, that's the same with my neighbors. Like, I just want to be that authentic person is what I always want to be.
That's beautiful. Excellent. Excellent. Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
So, Brian, what is your epic dream?
Epic dream. And we were talking about this before. My epic dream. So I was talking about work earlier. And my work, the fields that I can see myself operating in until I no longer have a breath in my body is definitely medicine and ministry. 100%. Now, from a vocational perspective, I lean more toward medicine in that regard. Ministry is always going to be a part of my life because, along with that connection to the Creator that I referred to earlier, I do believe that I have a specific role to play in the teaching and preaching realm. So I definitely just have this burning desire to study the Bible, to teach people the Bible, whatever the case may be. But I also have this burning desire to go deeper into medicine. So when you talk about the epic dream in my mind, I would like to move more into what can be referred to as like a therapeutic role in medicine. So for those who are unfamiliar, so I am a radiographer. So I'm on the diagnostic side of medicine, which means like my skill set is not there to diagnose the problem, but it's there to help the people who can diagnose figure out what the issue is. So prime example, let's pretend if you go into a doctor's office and you say, hey doc, I have, I don't know, ankle pain. Let's say ankle pain, right? The doctor would then say, okay, as the therapist, which is pretty much what a doctor is in a sense, they're trying to figure out in their heads, okay, well, what's wrong with your ankle? And because they can't open up your skin and look at your bone, that's when you come see me, the x-ray tech, which is just a radiographer. And then I do the x-ray. So the x-ray just basically provides information to the person who can actually say, okay, well, based upon what the radiograph is showing, okay, you may have a fracture, you have a sprain, or whatever the case may be. So I have more of a desire to move into a more therapeutic role in medicine. What that looks like right now, there's some really good potentials there. It could potentially mean medical school, could potentially mean PA school. I haven't fleshed that out yet. And also resources aren't necessarily there. Once again, talking about acquiring assets, what I talked about earlier. But if you're talking about epic dream, it's operating in more of a therapeutic role. Also, within that therapeutic role, I want the ability to also conduct my own research. So that next step, whatever it looks like, medical school, PA school, or something along those lines, I believe it will also entail acquiring a master's in public health, just giving me that background in how to do research and stuff like that.
Wow, that's a lot. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Excellent. Wonderful, wonderful. So here we are at question number 5, which is Brian Marshall Jr. Who are you?
Who am I? I think the best way to describe me, I think I'm a man of conviction, 100%. And what I mean by that is that when I think about the things that I do, the things I'm committed to, how I spend my 40 hours a week, it's based upon this idea that these are things that need to get done. It's a conviction that I have about myself. So it's like, I go to the gym, not just because I believe that the gym is like something that's good to do, but there's something inside of me that says, okay, you have to take care of your body. I attempt to eat healthy, emphasis on the attempt part. I attempt to eat healthy because there's something inside of me that says, hey, you have to make sure that you're, having a nutritious diet. I figure out ways to, budget my money and to acquire assets and all that good stuff because I believe it's a necessity about life. So for me, I think I'm a man of deep conviction. And it's pros and cons to that. The obvious pro is I tend to be very productive. So like prime example right now, just a lot going on. So I work full time, thankfully. That's a blessing in and of itself, but I work 40 plus hours a week sometimes. I'm also part-time in school. I'm currently pursuing my a master's in biblical studies. I'm still, operating at my church over Christian education, still helping out with that. And at the same time, still going to the gym, trying to get bigger, trying to be the Incredible Hulk out here. And it's just a lot kind of going on, but all that is wrapped around that principle of conviction. Like it's things that I feel like that I need to be involved with. Simply because it's things that are basically pushing me closer to my goals.
Got it. Awesome. Excellent. So here we are already at question 6, which is there anything I should have asked you that I didn't, or you wanted me to ask you that I didn't? In other words, what did I miss?
Honestly, I don't think you missed anything. I think that the questions that you asked were pertinent. And one of the things that I attempted to do is I tried to kind of rewind, because I'm 31 right now. So I tried to rewind back to when I was, say, about 15, 16 years old, which was a very turbulent time in my life. It was just a lot going on. Unfortunately, at that point, my father had passed away. A house I got foreclosed on that I grew up in. And prior to the housing foreclosure, I, didn't have gas in my house because the gas got cut off. And I just didn't have very solid male role models in my life. So I tried to really think about like, all right, well, if there's someone in that particular season who just so happens to come across this video, what type of information would I have wanted at that time, that I can give to them now. And I feel like you pretty much covered everything. Trying to figure out what it means to be a man at 15 or 16 years old, when that solid male role model isn't there. And it wasn't like there weren't positive men in my life. There definitely were, but I think what people miss about that is that there has to be a relationship there. So I didn't feel like I had a lot of solid relationships with positive men. It didn't mean that I didn't speak to them, because I feel like all my teachers were positive. There weren't too many black male teachers I had, but the ones that I did, they were always positive, encouraging me and stuff like that. But I just didn't have that connection with them. So I definitely feel like you hit, the nail on the head with a lot of these questions, because as I feel like it helps you also form like a proper identity as a black man, just trying to figure out, what's important to you, how you want people to see you, which is a very important question. And just what they think of manhood is. Yeah, so I think you did an excellent job.
Awesome. Excellent. Well, thank you. Thank you so much. And I really do appreciate you taking, the position of thinking about who the audience is, or the ultimately intended audience, potentially these young people who may not, like I said, have positive black male role models in their lives. And I use the word successful too, but success is not, I don't define success by what someone does for a living or even how much money they make, but by the positive impact that they are making in the lives of others within their community, be it the nuclear family or the community writ large and everything in between. And so that's really important. I really appreciate it. And I'm glad that you brought up your age, because you're such a young man.
Mhm.
I was thinking, I say something now. And so I'm glad that you brought it up. Because that's also really important too, right? That, and that's one of the reasons I wanted you on here too, because you're such a young man who's doing so many different things and are working through your life, right? That's what we're all doing, working through our lives. And it's just really beautiful to watch you. And so I'm just really grateful for you. We happen to share the same birthday. So we're
birthday twins. Love it.
And so I honor you, my king, and I pray that God will just continue to deepen and widen and grow you and establish you so that your epic dreams come true, that you are able to achieve all of your fullest potential, and that you will continue to make a positive impact. So thank you so much, Brian, for being here with us.
Thank you, Val. I appreciate, you interviewing me. Definitely made me feel special when you asked me. I'm like, interview me? I'm like, sure. I don't know how much I can contribute, but sure.
You did a great job. And so thank you. And thank you for joining us. I really do hope that you enjoyed this conversation as much as I have. I'm super proud of you too, Brian, by the way. And so stay tuned next week for another amazing king. And in the meantime, if there is a positive Black man, positive and successful, as we define success, Black man in your life that you want to see highlighted in this forum, please click the link below or up in my bio, fill out the nomination form, and we'll take it from there. We are on our way to 100 answers by 100 different Black men, and I'm so excited for this. And so in the meantime, please remember to spread love and have a great day. Thank you so much. And thank you, Brian. That was really awesome. Thank you.
You're so welcome.